Most national reporters covered this case from a studio. They flew in, did their segment, flew home. Brian Entin did not do that. Brian Entin went to Tucson. He knocked on doors. He walked the perimeter behind Nancy's house. He flew drone footage over the neighborhood. He sat in the heat and waited, day after day, for anything that moved in that quiet corner of the Catalina foothills. And on day 62, a woman named Laura Gargano opened her door. What Laura told Brian Entin, on camera, on the record, under her own name, has not gotten the attention it deserves. Because what she described wasn't a feeling. It wasn't a rumor. It was something she personally observed. Something with a *specific address, a specific pattern, and a timeline that lands in the exact window investigators care about most. There is a rental property near Nancy Guthrie's home in the Catalina foothills. And in the days immediately following Nancy's disappearance on February 1st, someone had gone. The car that had regularly been parked at that property? Gone. The place quiet. Vacant. As if whoever had been there had simply vanished. Right alongside Nancy. We are going to walk through everything Laura said in that interview. We are going to place it inside the broader investigative picture that Brian Entin and his sources have been building since February. And we are going to connect something that, if you have been following this case, is going to hit differently. Because Laura's account from the ground isn't just a neighbor's observation. It lands directly on top of something investigators were reportedly already looking at. Something Entin learned from a source close to the FBI investigation. Something that, as far as we can tell, has barely been connected publicly to what Laura described. Something tas. We are going to connect it now. Something tas. Quick sourcing note. This video is based on verified reporting and named on-record sources. Where analysis or inference appears, we will flag it. You will always know exactly where the facts end and the reasoning begins. If you are new here, welcome. Go watch our previous video, because this builds on it directly. But here is what you need to know about Brian Entin in the context of this case. Brian Entin is a national investigative reporter from News Nation. He was one of the first national reporters to physically embed himself in Tucson after Nancy Guthrie went missing on February 1st, 2026. He didn't just report remotely, he was on the ground, walking paths behind Nancy's house, using drone technology to capture aerial footage of the property and the surrounding neighborhood, building source relationships with people connected to both the family and the investigation. And critically, he cultivated sources inside and adjacent to the FBI investigation. Day 62 puts us at approximately early April 2026. Nancy has now been missing for over 2 months. The Pima County Sheriff's Department, under Sheriff Chris Nanos, has publicly characterized the case as a *targeted abduction. Think about what that phrase actually means. Nemix targeted, nemix targeted since, not random. Someone chose Nancy Guthrie specifically. Someone knew where she lived, knew her routine, knew when to move. Sheriff Nanos said that out loud, on the record. And then, in one of the more striking moments in this case's public-facing timeline, he followed it up by admitting that he didn't fully understand the nature of the targeting. 2 months in, full resources of the Pima County Sheriff's Department, FBI involvement, and the sheriff is telling us he doesn't understand why she was chosen. Was Nancy taken because of who she is? Because of who her family is? Because of what she knows? Because she was simply in the wrong place, in her own home? He doesn't know. That admission has been sitting in this investigation like a live wire. Because if law enforcement doesn't understand the nature of the targeting, then every piece of local observation, every neighbor's account, every anomaly in the immediate vicinity of Nancy's home on or around February 1st, becomes potentially critical. You don't know what's relevant until you know why she was targeted. And right now, nobody has given us that answer, which is exactly the context in which Laura Gargano sat down with Brian Entin. Let's talk about where Nancy Guthrie lives, because the neighborhood context is not incidental to this story. It is central to it. The Catalina foothills is a residential area north of Tucson, nestled against the Santa Catalina Mountains. It is an affluent, established community. Homes are not packed together. There's space. There's privacy. And there's a general expectation of knowing, if not always knowing personally, Who belongs on your street? You notice unfamiliar cars. You notice when something changes. This is not a neighborhood where rental properties are common. Laura Gargano made that point explicitly and on record. Asterisk. There's not that many rentals around here, but there is a rental nearby. Asterisk. This matters because it shapes the entire significance of what she observed. If this were an apartment complex or a neighborhood with high rental turnover, the departure of a tenant would be unremarkable. It wouldn't register. It wouldn't be something a neighbor would feel moved to mention to a national investigative reporter on camera. But the Catalina foothills isn't that. It's the kind of neighborhood where a rental property stands out, where the residents of a rental property stand out, where their presence and their asterisk, catisk, gets noticed. Nancy Guthrie was embedded in this neighborhood. Her daughter described her mother's daily routines as consistent and anchored to her home. She was 84 years old, a woman of habit and structure. She was not someone who wandered, not someone who would be difficult to anticipate, which is again what makes the sheriff's word asterisk, targeted, asterisk, so heavy. Someone knew Nancy's routine. Someone knew this neighborhood and its rhythms. And Laura Gargano, who also knows this neighborhood and its rhythms because she lives there, noticed something in the days that followed that she felt was worth raising publicly. Laura Gargano sat down with Brian Enton for an episode of Brian Enton Investigates. She is a neighbor. She lives in proximity to Nancy's home in the Catalina foothills. She gave this interview asterisk on the record under her own name on camera. That matters. In a case where so much of the significant detail is coming from unnamed sources and anonymous tips, a named neighbor going on record carries real weight. Here is what she told him. There is a rental property near Nancy Guthrie's home. Laura knew it was a rental. She knew someone had been there. Not personally, not intimately, but in the way you know someone in a neighborhood. The car in the driveway, the lights on or off, the presence that registers as a consistent fixture of your environment. Someone had been renting that property. And in the days immediately following Nancy's disappearance, in the immediate aftermath of February 1st, 2026, Laura noticed asterisk, the car was gone. Not just absent for a day. Gone. The property had gone quiet in a way that read to her as vacant. Asterisk, whoever lived there had moved out within a few days of this happening. The cars were gone. Let that settle. Brian Enton did not ask her about a rental property. He didn't bring it up first. She raised it, which means it had been sitting with her. Something she'd been turning over in her mind since February. Something about the timing she couldn't put aside, couldn't reconcile with coincidence, felt strongly enough about to put on record. Asterisk, see something, say something, asterisk. Laura also acknowledged she could not pinpoint the exact timing. Whether the departure happened before Nancy vanished or in the immediate days after. That uncertainty is important. We are being precise about it, because this channel doesn't do speculation dressed up as fact. Laura did not say she saw someone fleeing. She said the asterisk dado timing was proximate. Dado tider hundres kudnado. The departure and the disappearance landed in the same narrow window. And that proximity registered. She also described the broader psychological weight of living near a crime scene that the sheriff himself had called a targeted abduction. The discomfort of knowing someone came to your street with a asterisk plan. Someone who watched and waited and moved, and you don't know if whatever drew them there is gone, or if it's still present in some form. Asterisk, it did give me some time to think about what that means. It made me a little bit uncomfortable being a nearby neighbor. Asterisk. Laura's observation about the rental property exists inside that anxiety. And the rental property is the one that, when she raised it, produced a reaction that felt significant. Because rentals are uncommon in the Catalina foothills. Because someone was there and then wasn't. Because the timing lines up with the window that matters most, in any abduction case. And because Laura's account does not exist in isolation. To understand why Laura's account carries the weight it does, you need to understand what tactical experts look for when they are reconstructing how a targeted abduction is planned and executed. Brian Enton also spoke with Bob Kruger on day 62. Bob Kruger is a retired SWAT expert. Not a pundit, not a TV commentator with a credential. A man whose professional background is in tactical operations, in understanding how criminal actors plan and stage complex operations. And Kruger raised something on the record that connects directly to what Laura described. An empty home near a crime scene, Kruger noted, could have served as a surveillance location. Here is what that means operationally. For a targeted abduction to succeed, and the abduction of Nancy Guthrie was, by every public indicator, successful in its execution, horrifyingly so, the people responsible needed asterisk information. They needed to know Nancy's routine, the layout of the neighborhood, when she was home, when she was alone, when the window of vulnerability existed. That kind of intelligence is not gathered from a distance. It requires proximity. It requires asterisk sustained presence, asterisk, in or near the target area, without raising suspicion. An empty home achieves that. A rental property achieves that even more effectively. Rental properties have inherent legitimacy. Someone lives there. They belong there. The car in the driveway is expected. Neighbors see a rental occupant as part of the landscape. They don't think twice about a light on at an unusual hour, or someone leaving at odd times, or someone who keeps to themselves. In a neighborhood not accustomed to rentals, a new tenant might attract brief initial notice, and then they settle into the background. They become asterisk normal, not themselves, until they leave. Kruger's point is not that the rental property was definitively used as a surveillance location. He is raising the asterisk, operational logic asterisk, the way a professional planning a targeted abduction would approach the problem of intelligence gathering. And the rental property near Nancy's home fits that operational logic in a way that is difficult to ignore. Think about the timeline. Nancy disappeared on February 1st Street. Laura Gargano noticed the rental was vacated in the days around that date. If someone had been using that property to conduct pre-operation surveillance, watching Nancy's movements, mapping the neighborhood's rhythms, identifying the right moment to move, then February 1st might have been the asterisk culmination asterisk of that surveillance. The day the operation happened would logically be the day that presence was no longer needed. The surveillance position would be abandoned. The car would be gone. This is analytical inference, based on Kruger's expert framework, applied to the verified facts Laura provided. We are presenting the framework, not asserting the conclusion. But within that framework, the timing Laura described is more than notable. There is a pattern in this investigation that the community following this case has been tracking since early February. It is the pattern of things that asterisk exist, things we know are real, that we are not being given information about. The second camera. Brian Enton has reported that there is a second camera in the vicinity of Nancy Guthrie's home. A camera that captured footage from the relevant time window of February 1st Street. Asterisk, the FBI has images from other cameras on Nancy Guthrie's property. Remember, we first only saw the images from the Google Nest camera. The FBI has that footage, asterisk, and the FBI has said asterisk nothing public asterisk about what that footage shows. Nothing. In a case where a woman has been missing for over 2 months, where the sheriff described the disappearance as a targeted abduction, where the family is publicly, desperately asking for answers, the FBI has stayed silent about what a camera recorded on the day she disappeared. That silence is not neutral. FBI silence in an active investigation is asterisk, strategic. It can mean many things. They don't want to tip off the people responsible. They are using the footage to pursue leads they haven't disclosed. They are building a case around information in that footage that they don't want surfacing publicly yet. Any of those explanations is possible. None of them is comfortable. What the silence tells us, read alongside everything else we know, is that the FBI has asterisk real information. The kind of information that warrants sustained silence and continued presence in Tucson. The kind of information that may include leads about individuals in the asterisk, immediate vicinity, non-press asterisk of Nancy's home around the time of her disappearance. Because if the second camera footage captured something, a car, a person, a license plate, activity near a nearby property, the FBI's next move would be to pursue that lead quietly. They would ask questions in the neighborhood. They would try to identify vehicles and occupants. They would be particularly interested in anyone whose presence in the neighborhood asterisk began weeks or months before February 1st and whose presence ended around the same time. A rental property. A car that disappeared. Before we get to the final piece, the connection that ties Laura's account to what federal investigators are reportedly already doing, we need to acknowledge the parallel threads, because they provide critical context for how investigators are likely building their picture of the Catalina foothills. Thread 1. The subcontractor question. Who had legitimate access to the vicinity of Nancy's home in the weeks and months before her disappearance? Contractors. Service workers. Anyone whose professional presence in the area would have been unremarkable, but who would have had the opportunity to observe her routines, her schedule, her patterns. Thread 2. The vacant neighboring property. Separate from the rental Laura described, there is also an unoccupied home in proximity to Nancy's house that has been noted as a secondary point of interest in the neighborhood layout. When you place an empty neighboring property alongside a rental property that was abruptly vacated alongside a targeted abduction in a quiet, affluent neighborhood, you begin to see the shape of what investigators are working to reconstruct. A pre-operation environment. A window of time before February 1st, during which someone, or multiple people, had access to the vicinity of Nancy's home. The flower pot, the back door, the doorbell camera disconnect, the pacemaker timeline, these are all part of the same reconstruction, the attempt to understand how someone planned what happened to Nancy Guthrie. And the rental property is now, because of Laura Gargano's on-record account, and because of what Brian Enton's source told him, Truction Nancy Sono part of that reconstruction. Here is where we have to talk about what Brian Enton reported separately from his interview with Laura Gargano, because Laura's account of the vacant rental property, as significant as it is standing alone, Cody joins us from her does not stand alone. Brian Enton, using a source he described as close to the investigation, reported that FBI investigators have been asking questions in the neighborhood about a resident who moved out before Nancy vanished. Let that land. The FBI asking neighbors about someone who left before February 1st Street. This is not a rumor circulating in online communities. This is a national investigative reporter with documented access to law enforcement sources close to the FBI investigation, reporting that federal investigators are conducting time active inquiry about a specific departure from the neighborhood. Sourcing note. Enton's source on the FBI inquiry is unnamed, described as close to the investigation. This is single source, unverified by a second independent source. We are treating it as a reported claim from a credible journalist, with a documented sourcing track record in this case. We are flagging the sourcing level, so you can weigh it accordingly. But here is what we can say about the *9 intersection. Dime Enton Nime. Laura Gargano, a named neighbor on record, identified a rental property near Nancy's home, from which a resident departed in the days around February 1st. She noted that rentals are uncommon in that neighborhood. She noted the car was gone. Brian Enton's source separately reported that the FBI is asking neighbors about a resident who left before Nancy disappeared. Dime Enton Mendagi, 2 independent data points. Same phenomenon. A departure from a nearby property, proximate in time to the kidnapping, in a neighborhood where such departures stand out. If those 2 data points refer to the same property, and we are not asserting that they do, we are presenting the possibility, then Laura Gargano is not just a neighbor with an observation. She is a civilian witness who identified from the ground, unprompted, something that federal investigators are reportedly pursuing through active inquiry. And Bob Kruger has already told us what an empty home near a crime scene could represent in a targeted abduction scenario. This is not theoretical. Adoption operational. Think about what the FBI asking neighbors about this departure actually means. It means they have a lead. It means the departure did not pass unnoticed at the federal level. It means someone, a name, the beginning of a name, a license plate, a rental agreement, my seem options in play. The FBI does not conduct active neighborhood canvassing in a cold case or a dead end. Active canvassing means active pursuit. It means there is something there. And here is the thing about how this information has moved through the public space. Laura's interview was covered in the initial wave of Day 62 reporting. Enton's interview with Kruger got some attention. The FBI source reporting surfaced, and then it moved quickly, the way things move in high-volume news cycles. But the asterisk connection asterisk between them, the line that runs from Laura's on-record observation to the FBI's active inquiry about the same phenomenon, comes asterisk, that line has not been drawn clearly. Not until now. We are drawing it now. Because the community following this case deserves to see the full picture, not the individual pieces in isolation. Laura's account here, Kruger's analysis there, the FBI source reporting over there, the full picture, asterisk, asterisk. Someone was in a rental property near Nancy Guthrie's home. That person, or those people, left. The timing of that departure overlaps with the window of her kidnapping. A neighbor noticed it and felt strongly enough to go on record. A retired SWAT expert identified the operational significance of what such a property could represent. And federal investigators are reportedly asking questions about asterisk, exactly that kind of departure. This is not a loose thread. This is a thread with weight on both ends. We do not know where Nancy Guthrie is. 62 days into her disappearance, she has not been found. No arrests have been made. No suspect has been publicly named. The investigation remains active enough that the FBI is reportedly still canvassing Nancy's neighborhood, still asking questions about who was where and when they left. What we know is that the people around her, her family, her community, the neighbors like Laura Gargano who live with the knowledge of what happened on their street, are not giving up. And the reporters like Brian Enton, who stayed in Tucson, who built source networks and walked the perimeter and flew the drones, are not giving up. This channel is not giving up either. If you are watching this and you know something about a rental property in the Catalina foothills area of Tucson, a property that may have been occupied and vacated around the time of February 1st, 2026, there is a tip line. The Pima County Sheriff's Department and the FBI's Tucson field office are both actively seeking information related to Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. Your identity can be protected. A tip does not require you to testify. It requires only that you share what you know with the people whose job it is to bring Nancy home. The pieces are there. They are being assembled. And this community, the people watching this video, sharing it, following every update, is part of how the pressure stays on. Samaras Tabas, subscribe if you haven't. Share this video, Nabade, Nabit. Every person who follows this case is one more set of eyes. One more person who might remember something, recognize something, or know someone who does. Nancy's family needs her home. This video is produced for informational and documentary purposes. All theories and analyses presented are investigative questions and do not constitute accusations. No individual has been identified as a suspect. Verified facts are stated directly. Single-source claims are attributed and hedged. Analytical inferences are labeled as